Good evening and welcome to tonight's live AMCA big interview. And what a guest we've got for you tonight is none other than Welsh hero and AMCA double champion, Mr. Shane Carless. So let's bring him, without further ado, into the studio.
How are you, Mike?
And there he is.
Here I am.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we got it together at last.
Oh my God, that was hard work.
Right then. Let's you've got to say, I'm sure you'll agree with me that overall your career, you've got to say that it's been a big success. Would you agree with that and what you've achieved so far?
Yeah, for sure. I have been in the game a long time, but I've achieved a lot of things which I'm happy with. You can always achieve better, but yeah, I'm over the moon to what I've achieved, to be honest with you. And you see the boys which have done better than me, and where does it get you at the end of the day? Do you know what I mean? I've got like 2 young children. I got a lovely family. I got my own business. So like as you get older, things do change. But the love for the sport is still there, and yeah, this is where we are now.
Okay, so how did this adventure then? How did it all begin?
So basically, my mother met which I call my stepfather, Steve Jones. His 2 older boys done motocross, and as they got older and a certain age, they started going out or doing other things, girlfriends. And then I wasn't really interested in bikes at all, and they were asking me to go racing, and I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. So eventually Christmas, I had a bike, and then it went from there really. 2013 was my my first bike I had, and we haven't stopped since.
Okay, so I guess you started off by racing. Was that local BSMA or?
Yeah, so we started off in obviously in Wales. Then we travelled to like Cotswolds Club, Severn Valley clubs. It was just because over the bridge it was just more competition, which brought me on so quick. I think it was like maybe 2014 I started racing, and I think it was like 2015 maybe I was like the KWS 125 British champion. So I took to the sport quite quick, if you should say. And that's where we are.
Did you always feel then that you were going to be able to get into the sport that quickly and it would just take off, or was you expecting it to take a lot longer to get to where you wanted to be?
Yeah, when you're a kid, you just want to go racing and have fun. So like, because I started so old, like most of my friends or people I know have started off like 4, 5, maybe 6. So yeah, it's like as I got older, I started like thinking about it more. I was thinking like, where's it gonna go? What have I got to do to get better so quick? And then obviously my father put me in like training schools with like Justin Morris and a couple of other boys. So yeah, we did put a lot of effort in when we was young. And as I get older, I seem to like bikes ain't everything now like years ago, which they were. You think you're going to be a superstar, but then as it gets older, everything just like you think, oh, am I going to make it? I mean, no. So you just got to make the best of what we got and just when we haven't looked back.
Okay, so did you come in then about like 85cc level?
Yeah, so I think my first bike was like a Kawasaki 85. And like my mother would always like video me, and I was absolutely rubbish. And I was like, my dad was like, I was like, no, tantrums, crying, screaming. I was like, but then all of a sudden something just clicked, and we took off from there.
Okay. So how many years in were you racing then before you sort of got to like the national sort of 2-day meeting level?
God, I remember like going to, I think my first BSMA 2-day national was in like um, um, Milden Hall, I think it was. And like, obviously we had local friends, which were like front runners in the championship. So like, I think we was on like reserve and we went there, took a chance. My dad like always got me 2 bikes. So we went there and I like qualified, like, I think it was 1 from last. And like, my dad was like over the moon and like, he's like, yes, we qualified, we ain't going home. And like, yeah. And then as soon as you get that first one out the way, the nerves seem to like settle in and then it just come on so fast from there, to be honest with you.
Okay. Can you remember sort of what sort of riders you were coming up against in those sort of early days?
Yeah, so like, no, I was in the same year, the same classes as like Jake Nichols, Elliot Banks Brown. Um, yeah, there's a lot of boys I was up against which are really good back in the day. You don't even like, hear of them or see them anymore. I think they've just gone.
Yeah.
I think it's like Richard Leach or something like that. He was really fast back in the day. Yeah, it was just so many of us. And, it's like in the school, but there's 1 minute you're up the front and the next race you're like at the back. So, yeah, it was a lot of good riders when I was in there.
Okay. So what would you consider then, like throughout your youth racing career, what the biggest sort of victory that you claimed in that sort of time?
Yeah, so like in the youth side of things, I always had problems like with my shoulders. I dislocated my both shoulders. I think like my left one's like 9 times. I think my right one's like 7 times. So in the youth days, it's like you go in 100 mile an hour trying to. So I had quite a lot of injuries. So I wasn't like consistent week in, week out. But in 2015, I had help of a local guy, Ray Hockey. So he helped me out with 2 YZ 125s. We entered the KWS, which was the championship to be back in the days. It was, the talent was amazing. Yeah, and we ended up winning that championship. I don't know how or what, because it was good boys in it. So that was the first major like title I won, and you all of a sudden you think you're like, oh, we got this.
Okay. So did you go from like youth sort of straight into adult, no hesitation?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I think I had 2 years on a 125, and my dad like said, look, 4 strokes are coming through, and he said like we got to make a change now because in a couple of years' time that's what it's going to be. And I remember him. I think we had a lender one off Ray Hockey at the time, and it just felt like so wrong at the time. But then I think I had a good winter on it, a good couple of seasons on it, and I adapted to it pretty good. And to be honest with you, I know most people wouldn't like this, but I prefer a 4-stroke than a 2-stroke. I think I done the 125 AMCA championship last year on a 125 because I dislocated my shoulder 1 week before the championship, so we decided to go on a 125. So the last time I was on a 2-stroke was 15 years ago. So I didn't go practicing on it or nothing. We just turned up and I was like, what is this? But it was awesome. I had awesome fun. It was good.
You look natural though on it. It looked like you hadn't been away from that 2-stroke, watching you this year. So
yeah, it was it took every round we was like progressing on it because we just jumped in on a standard bike. I was starting off in like 2nd gear, and then by the 2nd round people were like, oh, we starting in 1st gear, and then we just put an exhaust on it, started doing a couple of things, and then we had done the jetting and put fuel in. I was like, wow, this bike is unreal. But there was still no go in it. But it was just fun to come into the corners, and it had a bit of power to pull through the slop and stuff. But it was really good.
Okay, going back to your your transition between the youth to the adult, then you went into the British under-21. So how was that for you?
Yeah, like that was a massive jump again for me and like my family to commit to itself, because it was like so many rounds and they were so far away. We was like school. My mother and father, well, stepfather, had like their own businesses, so it was a big jump for us all. But I think we done maybe 3 years in the under-21s, and every year we went on, we was like improving massively. And then the last year we ended up doing, I think we lost it by like a point. So we was gutted because the hard work we put in. But yeah, that's what it was.
Is that the closest you come then, that year when you just missed out?
Yeah, I missed out. It was actually it was between me and Scott Elfield, and like that kid back in the day was like something else. He was like,
I can remember seeing him. Yeah,
I like looking back. I used to race against him, and I just like used to watch him and like think, oh, this guy's gonna be something. Yeah, so like starting like the season off, I was like, oh, how am I gonna beat this kid? But like I just put 100% in every weekend, and it come to the last round in Cullum. I think I was actually in front of him at the time. So like we would have had the championship wrapped up, but back marker crashed, and I got accused for like overtaking on a double waved yellow flag. So I got dock position and points. So we ended up losing the championship by 1 point. But I don't know what went on, but at the time I wanted to win it. But looking back now, it doesn't really mean anything. But the effort you put in and the money you spend, it's like, it is nice to get a championship out of it.
Did that make you more determined, the way you lost that one championship? To think I'm going to get one, no matter what. Or...
Yeah, it was frustrating, to be honest. So that's like the major title I wanted back in the days. But as you say, as the years grow, many championships come on board, and people started going to other championships. So the under-21 started to like fade out. So then we jumped to like different championships. So yeah, it's just the way it was. But we are gutted, but we're still happy.
I know you done like 3 years training to be a carpenter, which you passed. But then at the end of that, you decided to go as a pro racer. What sort of made you sort of tip from not being pro into pro? You know, what was the deciding factor on that?
Well, I finished school, and my like stepdad said, look, if you want to be like professional on this on the motocross, you got to get a trade under your belt in case things don't quite work out, and then like 10 years time or whatever, you've finished the bikes, and then you're like a 30-year-old man and you haven't got no like skills or qualifications. So he said, right, you do your 3 years in college, then we'll give you the best shot we can at the racing. So yeah, I've passed my 3 years carpentry, and I think I went like 6-7 years like professional, as in my way, because my parents backed me. I was just riding, training every day, going all around the country. So I had good times. I think it was like 1 year out of it all, I did actually get paid to race the bike. But it was a tough year for me. I had to buy my first home. I had my first child, so it didn't quite work out the way I wanted to. But I took all them years to get what I wanted to get. I got it, and it was just the wrong year for me. But then when I realised like I had bills to pay, and I thought, right, I'm going to have to go back to work. And I've gone back to work now, got my own business. Just absolutely love work, and my mind's off bikes completely. So I don't have nothing to do with bikes until like Saturday morning. I like load up the camper and go racing. I do train through the week, as most of us do. Some say they won't, but you got to these days. Yeah, so it has been fun, to be honest with you.
So like take us then through a week when you were a pro. take us through like a typical week, how your week was sort of plan out from sort of one race day on a Sunday to the following race day, then the following Sunday. What do you do? You know, what preparation was there?
So like a Monday was like always like recovery day. So like, we'd always like clean the camper down, jet wash, get everything cleaned up. Like a Tuesday, I would probably like do like a cycle or swim, just to get something done in the day. And I'd ride pretty much every like Wednesday and Thursday. And then, as you say, on a Friday, then we do something light. If not, then just load up and get ready to go racing. So the years flew by doing that, but that's the love for the sport is crazy.
I think I read somewhere, I don't know if this is right or not, but that you actually done the Scottish Championship in the time when you was a pro. Is that correct? Or
yeah. So I finished my 2-year contract with Park Homes Honda 2006, 2007, and we were scratching around looking for like other deals and what's out there. So at the time, I was having help off Scott Gardner, Planet Suspension in Scotland. We were really friends with Scott, and he was really friendly with a guy called Darren. He ran Motor One KTM. So he's based in Perth in Scotland. So I moved up there for 2 years, I would say, and he was the most down to earth person. We gelled together so quick. He spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort in me. So we ended up doing he wanted to win the Scottish Championship because that's obviously where he's from. But the talent up there is like, I don't know, it's something about it. You go up there and the boys just ride the tracks week in, week out. You can practice on them tracks. And you go in, it's like, I think they go around there closing their eyes, to be honest. But we had some good races. I'm not sure what overalls I had up there in championship wise, but we won a lot of races and we also lost loads.
Was there any like sort of big names then that you were coming up against at that time in Scotland, or not really?
Yeah, you obviously had the Mackenzies, the cousins. Yeah. They would turn up now and again just to do the odd race in between their big championships. You got like that Ross Rutherford. Yeah, it was just a load of like good local boys, to be honest with you. Scottish boys. Scotland is obviously a big place. They don't seem to like come down this far. But yeah, the Scottish Championship is a really good championship, good tracks. Yeah, so I had really good fun up there.
Was that, or though logistically, like having to travel, like when you had to come down right down south for like a British Championship or whatever, it must have been quite hard and demanding when you had to make those sort of journeys, I guess. Or
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was tough. Most of the time, I'd be in the passenger seat sleeping, or in the back. But when I had to come home, obviously it'd be just me and my van, and no, I think like, you know what it's like. I travel in the night, so it'd be like no traffic, so I'd get home quicker. I think it's like from Perth to my house was like 6.5, 7 hours. And then sometimes we'd go like practicing in Tyne, which is like the top end of Scotland. From the track to my home is like 10.5 hours drive on my own. So it was tough, but it's what had to be done.
In your pro days, I noticed you made a comment once about your favourite track being Hawkeston Park. And I know that you claimed some pretty big sculpts at Hawkeston Park going back a few years. Can you tell us a little bit about the riders that you actually got the better of around there?
Yeah, so like in Wales where I live, it's obviously, I don't know what it is, there's not a lot of practice tracks about here. There's a lot of mountains and stuff, but not actually race tracks, racing, you know, like the lines, the bumps, the braking bumps. So my time is mostly spent down the dunes, down the sand dunes. So like sand, I just was used to it. And then obviously we used to come to Hawkeston Park and I was like, yes, we race in sand. So like, you know, I was just excited going there because we was racing sand. So I wasn't like thinking about what competition is here or what's here. I was just like really happy to ride sand. So we had some awesome races around Oakstone Park, and we've had some really bad ones also. But the main one that sticks out for me is I think it's Ray Hockey again. He done like a handlebar festival. I think they done like a World European 250 round that weekend with them. So I think it was like 2009 maybe. So we entered it, and I think it was like an A and a B group. It was like 40 in each group, and obviously 40 go through. So we done qualifying. I was like, you had like Jeffrey Erlins, Ken Roxon, and Krista Charlier, just like boys I've watched on TV, not actually race against. And I remember my like Darren, the boss, the team owner, he pulled me into the pit board and he was like going nuts on me. He was like, look at the board, look where you are. And like, I can remember looking, I was like looking at the top. I was like, where am I? And I was like 39th. So like put the two groups together, I was nowhere near qualifying. So I looked at the clock. I thought, right, one lap left. And I went for it. I come straight in and he was shouting again. And he's like, look at the board, look where you are, look where you are. And I was like, oh my God, don't say I haven't done it. And I was looking at the bottom and he pointed at the top and I was first. And like, yeah, we got back to the van and we couldn't even get to our van, to be honest. It was like all these foreigners and like, they were like, who's this kid? Do you know what I mean? He just beat like Ken Roxon and, Jeffrey Erlins and Christopher Charlie, which is like, I think he's like 2 times European champion that them years. So yeah, it was. We have had some really good rides there, but that one sticks out the most.
Is there any other circuits like you've obviously rode pretty much every top circuit in the country. Is there any other one which you think, yeah, I really like going there? This is nice. I guess probably Ling, because that's like a sandy type going.
Yeah,
or not.
Yeah, Ling was good. Yeah, it's a good track. Yeah, obviously that's a long way for us, but
yeah.
I never really had good results in Ling, but I really like the track. So it's so many tracks, and it's just like it's down to the prep these days. You can have one of the best tracks out there, but if it's not prepped, and it's not going to do what the track can actually bring out for the riders. But yeah, so many good tracks out there. It's just. And I think we've lost also a lot of tracks. But to be honest with you, I've raced from like Matley Basin, which is the best track in the country, and to like the AMCA tracks now. Like I love the AMCA tracks. They're small and they get so rough, and that's what I like. I like a technical and hard track.
During your time in the pros, I guess you rode in the Red Bull Pro Nationals.
Yeah, we done a couple of seasons in the Red Bull Pro Nationals. That series was something else, way above them all in my eyes. The effort they put in, even like turning up to Western Beach Race, they put a round on there one year. Well, actually a couple of years. I think it was like one of the years I was with. Maybe 2012, maybe with Oakleaf Kawasaki. We went there, as again, it's like you can see where I practice across the water from Western. So I practice on that kind of terrain like every week, basically. So we was like really confident going for that Red Bull at Western, and we ended up winning the Saturday. And the riders there were like they brought over a couple of Grand Prix riders. So we won, and then the night I just couldn't sleep. I was just like thinking about the next day, and I was like, I need to win. I think I was like maybe second, third on the Sunday, and that would have got me the podium, the first overall. I think Graham Irwin and maybe like Bradshaw, someone like that, passed me. I thought, right, let's just settle down. Or we still got the overall. And it was last lap. I come to the finishing jump. And I think it was like the 65s were up before us, and one of them must have got stuck on the top of the jump and just put a massive hole in it. And obviously I come round, front wheel went in over the handlebars, And I got up, I didn't know where I was, and my eyes were going all over the place. So I dropped down to about 8th or 9th. But I think we finished 3rd overall on that day, which was still amazing to be on the podium, because obviously the lineup there was amazing.
Yeah, going back to like the Red Bull thing, I'm sure you'll agree that the way they promoted the sport, you know, if that had kept going, you know, and dragged everybody along with it, I mean, it was the way to go, wouldn't it? That the presentation was like second to none.
Oh yeah, it was 10 times above all the championships, to be honest with you. Just the way it's run, the way the rules are, the track prep. No, if they think a jump is rough in between races, they would get a machine straight on it. It's just like the effort they put in for like the podium, the trophies. It was the riders even there. Yeah, they just put in so much effort. It was amazing.
I mean, the crowds they poured in as well were absolutely, you know, crazy. I mean, especially when they went to places like Canada, it's on the outskirts of London. You know, you've seen pictures. I think everybody's seen pictures of it. You know, that's really what motocross is all on it, really.
Yeah, like Canada is like always rammed. Every year I've gone this, like it's pulled in really good crowds. But yeah, that Red Bull, I don't know, they also like, I'm not sure if they pulled in like really good riders or paying them or whatever they done to like make it go the way it was, but the people just wanted to come and see the Pacific riders, which they dragged in to do it, and it was just like the banners around the track, and it just made it like a proper national.
Going back to your Maxis racing days, then, is there one particular year there that sort of stands out above the rest, and you think, you know, that was a very good year for me?
Yeah, we've like, I had in the 250s. I think it was like when I went on my own one year with like local support. I think it was like 2010 maybe. We went in the 250s, and it was like, you know, Zach Osborne. It was just like some serious talent in that class. I was like, what am I doing in here? But I think my best ever result in the 250s was like a 3rd overall, like in a race. I think my best overall through this, I think it was like a 4th. And overall in the championship was like an 8th. But back in them days, that was amazing. In the 450 in the MX1 class, Milton Malsa, the track, I don't know why, he was just tight, rough and gnarly. I just loved that track. And I think it was my first year with Oakleaf Kawasaki. And I was teammates with Alex Snow, and I think he just like dislocated his shoulder or something, and he was out. So they done a Pacific like race bike for him, and it's supposed to be really good. So they had it in the back of the van that weekend, and I said, I'm feeling this weekend. And they were like, right, we got Alex's bike in the back of the van. Do you want to try it? I was like, yeah, let's get it out. And that day I all shorted the first round, which is like very rare for me. And I thought, God, when are they going to pass me? When are they going to pass me? And I think it was like Tanner Leoc and Jonathan Barragan. I think they passed me in that race, and I ended up 3rd. So like, it was nuts. So like, we had the last race, thought, right, we can actually get on the podium. We got a chance. So second race, I had it all shot again, and I was like, what is going on? I think I led for a couple of laps, and I dropped back. I think I finished 3rd again. So that got me on the podium, but that's the best I've achieved in the British Championship.
So during your Maxis days, then, was that the time when you predominantly with Oakleaf, or were you with other teams as well?
Yeah, so like Oakleaf is obviously the effort like Sean put in. He wanted the best. He'd always have the best of everything. So it was like, it's nice to go into a team like with so professional, and then it just gives you like that extra bit of like boost. Really, they want it. just as much as you. So the effort I put in through the Oakleaf days were like amazing, but also some years, some weeks I just put in too much effort. I'd have like a bad weekend and I'd be like started like blaming myself or the bike. So we'd be like be doing more testing. I'd be like on a Monday, which is like recovery day, I'd be out like running or trying to like get as fit as I possibly can until for the weekend after, and I was just burning myself out really. So like my results started like fading. But yeah, when you just gotta like, if you have a bad weekend, you just gotta like get over it, sit down, have a little good little think, and just see what went wrong and just go from there. But like back
Okay,
in the days, it was, yeah,
while
sorry,
we're
mate.
talking about the pro days, then obviously there is one highlight that's probably stands out and probably still stands out to this very day at Matterley Basin and in the GP.
Yeah,
That must stick in your memory even now. That weekend, because that must have been an absolutely amazing feeling, winning a race on a world stage like that, and being on the podium. So, can you sort of tell us, like you told me a couple of days ago, all about what happened that weekend? Because I think that's a great story, that one.
yeah. So like, obviously, when you become like a good rider, obviously you want to like go to your home Grand Prix, and like, I think one year, I was like maybe fifth or sixth at the time in like the British Championship, and I got an invitation to say like, you've made an achievement, you can go and ride Matterley Basin in the MX1 class. So like, it's like massive. What am I doing? So I think I went there on like the Wednesday or Thursday before you got to be there. And I was signing in, and they were like, "No, you're not even booked in." I was like, "What? What's going on here now?" And they like these foreigners. It's just like looking at you. So yeah, so it was a bit of mixed communication and whatever went on. So it was space in the MX3 class. So we decided to go in the MX3 class. And I think it was like, I think we'd done one race on like a Thursday and one race on the Saturday or something like that. So the first race was like obviously really nervous. Track is just massive, just wide, massive jumps. So the first race, I think I was coming through really, really strong. I think maybe up to like fourth, and we lost the back brake. And on that kind of track with them such big jumps, I started fading off pretty quick. So the first race we finished sixth, it was still amazing, but because we lost the back brake, I was like big gutted because I knew I had more in the tank to come towards the front. So the second race, which was the day after, I assume. So I like sussed the track out, and it was one specific like jump on the track which was like bugging me. And it was the uphill quad. I think you tripled down then quad up. And just watching previous videos, the time was made. I was like, I've got to do it, and it was just in the back of my mind all weekend. So I think I was like third, something like that, off the start, and I come to one of the step downs, and I looked and I seen like the boy I think won the first race on the day before. I thought, right, he's having it. So like I gave him a nudge, and he actually come off like not bad, but I thought, right, I've got to win. I can get on the podium here now. So we charged through, and I was like, I think I was sitting second. I thought, right, I can see the leader. I'm actually catching him. So we put a massive charge on. We caught him, and I haven't done this uphill quad like in my life, and it was just in the back of my mind. And I thought, so we come on the top left hand before you like triple down. We jumped down like side by side, and I thought, I'm going for it. This quad, I'm going for it. And so I think it's like third gear, absolutely flat out on a 450. So I'm like leaning over the back mudguard, just like looking at him. And I'm in the end, I'm thinking, what's going on behind? And I was just like looking round, and I was looking down at him, and I was like, wow, how did that just happen? And then I just done it lap after lap, and the the gap I was pulling, the time each lap by just doing that jump, I won the race pretty easy, to be honest with you, which gave me third overall. So it was nice to give the Oakleaf team back that result, because obviously the money, time and effort they put in over the years, it's always nice to give back something special to them. So like we come back to the behind the podium, and like took my helmet off me, gave me a water, whatever, and they were like 3, 2, 1, and then they just like chucked the camera straight in my face, and I was like, whoa, what do you want me to do? And like I was live on the TV, and I was like, there's a couple of things like I wanted to say, but just didn't have time to think. No, just didn't have time to like say what I wanted to say. It was just, so chuffed I was on the podium. And so like I remember is like all my friends, like I've got a really good group of friends which follow me. They call themselves like Team Wales. I think you ask anyone in the British Championship paddock, they'll know them. So like the security wouldn't let them into the podium. And so all I could see was just this big metal fencing like shaking now. And I'm like live on TV. And then all of a sudden the fence is over. The fence is on the floor. So like it's about 30 of them in. So when I went up on the podium, there was like 30 of my mates like standing in front of the podium. And I was just like, whoa, what how has this happened? And one of the boys chucked the Welsh flag up to me, so I held the Welsh flag up. But that weekend was something special.
I guess that sort of result, on that stage, sort of carries you for a few months, probably, doesn't it? Or every time you go out after that, you think, I've done this. It must make you feel good. You must give you more belief.
Yeah, it's like it's one thing I've pretty struggled on, to be honest. So like the results and the boys I've beat week in, week out, and then they've always like believed in themselves, and like I just go from week to week. And I think if I actually believed myself as much as the others do, I think I would have got a lot further, to be honest with you.
How did like the professional side of it then come to an end? What was the sort of point where you thought, no more, I can't do this at this sort of rate?
Well, in 2013, that was the first contract I signed with Kawasaki UK. The money wasn't great, but it was just I had to take it up. I worked so hard to get what they offered. But that year, obviously, my missus, my partner, she got pregnant with my first boy, and like this was I'm like living with my parents, and I was like, right, I gotta buy an house. I gotta do it. So we ended up buying our first home. I had my first boy, Jake. Then like when I had him, I thought, oh, this is what life's about. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to go like traipsing, up and down the country chasing, like I used to call it chasing money, to be honest with you. You want to do as best as you can in the race to get more prize money to go for the next week, to be honest with you. So I decided there and then to call it a day. So that was pretty much it for me. I thought, right, now's the time to knock it on the head.
So what age were you then when you were thinking about?
I was 26, maybe 26. So obviously, that's a young age. You go like Brad Andon, it's just a lot older than me. He's still achieving, the races and championships he's winning these days. So for me, it was like I could have had a lot more years doing it, but I had a deep thing. I thought, where am I actually going to get with it? Because these days it's all about like money. You got some serious talent in the paddock, and then that rider may not have like the money or support they deserve, but then you'd get like a boy who's like got absolutely loads of money, and the talent isn't half what other riders got, and they were just getting these places in the teams, and I don't know. I got to a point I was thinking, what's happening? What's going on with it all? So I thought I ain't paying someone to get into a team to ride bikes. Do you know what I mean? If I'm good enough, they want me, I'll do it. But yeah, I wasn't paying for nothing, to be honest with you.
Okay, so from there then, how did the transition into the AMCA come about? How did that develop?